Welcome to another episode of the Happy Friday Committee, Happy Friday Committee Mindset. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Carl Hall Jr., who is a real estate investor. He works in the medical field. He does so many things. The brother is just brilliant. And I asked him on here today to get his perspective on the Happy Friday Committee mindset, which is being fearless, resilient, intuitive, determined, appreciative, and youthful. And Carl, welcome and thank you for coming on this show to show your perspective on things. I want to start with the word fearless. And I want to relate that in the industry in terms of being a real estate investor. What does fearless mean to you?
Okay. First, thank you for having me on for this. I appreciate the opportunity. What does fearless mean to me, or being fearless? It means honestly having so much faith that it overcomes your fear or any type of anxiety that you have about whatever you're doing. So as it relates to real estate, like my first home, I honestly I kind of move in I like to say I move in like a fearless manner. So I believe very firmly in that.
Yes, sir.
Making mistakes or bumping my head or taking a hit on the chin, that happens. That's a part of the game. So you have to put in time into whatever you're doing, and once you understand that, I think your relationship with fear changes. It turns into, what do I have to be afraid of when I know there are several different ways in which I can survive this situation if it doesn't go well. So it's just a combination of offense and defense that gives you more confidence. So
Yes.
being
Yes,
is having faith, just jumping out there and knowing that you're going to do whatever it takes to get the deal done. So like my first home, as an example, that I rehabbed, it was the second home I bought. I bought it in 2019 for about $19,000. And so I invested in rehabbing this property beginning in June of 2020. It took a while to complete it. We initially wanted to complete this home in 12 weeks, is what my contractor told me, which was a fanciful dream, HGTV quality almost.
wow.
So it actually ended up taking like almost 24 months for me to complete this project. So there was a number of issues, a number of just bumps and bruises and things I learned along the way. However, as I relate this to fearlessness, the main thing, I jumped into this project and it was a full gut rehab. And this was my first project.
Mm.
A lot of times investors, when you jump into real estate investing, people will encourage you to do maybe a cosmetic rehab, something that only requires like replacing the floors, adding some cabinets, maybe putting some appliances, some nice countertops, changing out the carpet to something that's more modern. However, I decided I wanted to do a full gut rehab. I wanted to jump all the way into the deep end of the pool. I was so like, I don't know. I just have this confidence that I thank my mother for embedding in me at a very early age that I can do anything. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so I jumped out there, man, and I knew, I know I'm going to see this through. I had a private money lender who loaned me $30,000, someone that's a, respiratory therapist like myself, which is my primary occupation. She just saw something in me to loan me money out of her pocket,
Wow.
for me to do this, which I thought she was joking.
Uh,
When she first told me this was like a year before I started working on the project. She said, let me know whenever you get ready to do the rehab, I want to go into business with you. And so I was like, okay, people say those kinds of things, but I didn't put too much stock in it. And so fast forward several months, and I speak about what I'm doing in my workspace, in any environment. I usually speak about real estate at some point because it's something that I love. It comes so naturally. Business does as well. And I'm just in love with houses. So I love real estate. So it always ends up coming up. So at work, it's no different. And so she saw how passionately I spoke about this, and she saw something in me to loan me the money for me to invest into this home. And so everything worked out. I underwrote the loan for about 18 months, and I didn't think I would need that loan. But in my mind, I was playing a little bit of defense because I knew if anything happened and everything fell apart and this house burnt up, I could work and pick up some overtime and I could pay her cash and make sure that she got her money back,
Yes, sir.
and that's an integrity thing. So with that in mind, it made me much less fearful going into this project. I started it, with $3,000 cash, no consumer debt, and 30,000 I borrowed from someone. So I jumped all the way into the deep end of a full gut rehab without a lot of resources.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, you mentioned bumps and bruises along the way, and that enters the word resilience. Um,
Absolutely.
would you like to expound on that, on the word resilience and how that applies to real estate?
Absolutely. So resilience, you got to be resilient in real estate. There's going to be bumps and bruises. Deals are going to fall through. Things are going to happen. Like there's just things that are going to happen. You're going to get conned by contractors. Like you're going to lose money because you're learning something. You're learning like the art of doing something that you've never done before. So I always tell people, if you're not cut out to have a certain level of resilience and take those bumps and bruises as lessons, and implement some type of solution, which is the problem solving element of real estate, then this may not be for you, because anytime something comes up, or every time something comes up, it's going to be so annoying to you that you're not going to have the temperament to have the patience to deal with these things. And it's not a matter if something is going to come up. It's a matter of when something is going to come up. A house is a house. It's not guaranteed. Plumbing isn't guaranteed for 30 or 40 years. Nothing in the house is guaranteed for 30 or 40 years. So there's so many things that are outside our control. But over time, with advances in technology and us having data, we can account for those things, which is the defense.
Mm.
So that's how we when I look at it, that's how I approach real estate. And that's what adds more resilience to what I'm doing, because I know on the back end, eventually I'm going to make my money back.
Yes, sir.
It's tried and true. Real estate is tried and true over time. So
Yes, sir. Initially, before you got into real estate, and I'm hitting on the word intuition, being intuitive. What led you? What was it in you that led you to being in real estate?
okay. What led me to being into real estate was, it started at an early age. I used to watch shows like MTV Cribs. I used to watch Travel Channel a lot. And I used to look at MTV Cribs and like wonder, like, man, why would they put certain things into these homes? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, or, that's a good idea. It's pretty elaborate that you have like marble floors throughout your home. Like
Yes, sir.
that's amazing. But then there's some things that is like, all right, this is over the top. Like, you don't need like a 500-gallon shark tank, like that was just outlandish, But what I enjoyed about the show is it opened my mind and it made me dream and think. And I felt as if I had the confidence also, which I thank my mom for again, to believe that I could have those things. And so even watching like Travel Channel, there was a lady named Samantha Brown, and she traveled around the world and went to the nicest hotels and just seemed to live this amazing life. And I'm like, how is she doing this? Like, how does she live this
Yeah,
life? Like,
yeah, yeah.
I got to research and figure out, like, what does she do? And so, several of these people, you find out when you go into their backgrounds, oh, they were chefs, or they had done something successful in it for quite some time, and then this was like a pivot at a later point in their careers. And so I knew I wouldn't be a chef. That wasn't going to be my thing. I didn't really care for cooking at that age at all. I learned in my adulthood how to cook.
Yes, sir.
So I just looked at it like, okay, my strengths and weaknesses, real estate, it's something that's always been there. I remember being 9, 10 years old and turning notebook paper sideways and like drawing houses on the notebook paper.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure my mom would tell you as well. Like, I always just dreamed and had a vision of houses. Like, I remember trying to like draw brick houses and line up, the bricks and the symmetry on the paper, drawing details down to the front doorknob, all the way to the lantern,
Hmm.
most on A-frame, So I just remember, like, I don't know, that was always something I was into. And then when we moved to Atlanta in 2000, my mom always took me to look at like nicer, bigger homes. So it just always like made me dream of having something better,
Yes, sir.
having better for myself. And when I came to Atlanta and went to school, and saw that my school was quite the majority of African Americans, it was even more encouraging
Mm,
because be close to my, my middle school that I went to. So I had never seen, such wealth or such affluence
mm.
in the American community. It's not like that in many places outside of Atlanta. So that's something that just also fueled and made me want to work harder to have the kind of things that I wanted in life. So.
Wow, wow. What kept you determined in pursuing your dream to be a realtor?
So I'm actually a real estate investor, but I have not done
Oh,
my real license yet. But
yes, sir.
what kept me determined is honestly the idea of just having my time back. Ultimately, I invest in real estate because I would like to have my time. I believe that time is wealth, and when you have time freedom, you need time for so many different things. You need time just to think, like
Mhm.
just to be able to strategize about things in your life. You need time for that. And, because we live in a capitalistic society and because of the nature of how the game is played here and the system is set up, that requires that, in my personal experience, it requires that you have assets, cash flowing assets, or you have some form of, cash flow to create the opportunities to provide you more of your time. If you want to spend time with your family or time with your friends, what have you, you know, you got to have the money to have the time.
Yes,
If
sir.
it was
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
rice bartered with, then it would be rice. I'm trying to get enough rice so I can have enough of my time back to do whatever I need to do. So for me,
Absolutely.
that's how I look at it. It's just merely, a means of exchange and a means of attaining a level of time in which I can spend with my family or live my life how I would like to live it on my terms. So
Wow. So, trusting your intuition and being determined, and you hit your goals or your targets. How do you now show appreciation for the decisions that you have made?
great question. Great question. So, one way in which I do so is on my Instagram page, at the Peaceful Investor on Instagram. And so, you can follow me. I share a lot of real estate information, a lot of finance information.
Mm,
This is information that a lot of digital creators put out on the internet. I do a lot of like affiliates marketing. I don't make a whole lot of videos or do like any I don't have any items that I sell just yet. Haven't gotten to that point yet. So I just share the information just for like the masses to see. So I kind of see my page as kind of like a connector between like this whole different mindset. It's almost like when you look at the Matrix, like,
yes,
you
sir.
have the red pill, this whole group of people who decided to like take a different pill and go a different walk because they want to live a different life for whatever the reason may be, that so many other people may not even have the exposure to because they don't
Mhm.
follow individuals or they just have never been exposed to it. So that's a huge thing, is exposure. So I remember just my looking at my situation and living in a different environment in a different city, my hometown, which I love very dearly, Macon, Georgia. And so just coming up there were just certain things that you saw, and then there were certain things you didn't see the same level of African American wealth as you see in Atlanta. I don't think you see it in many places in major cities in the United States, and definitely not your smaller towns. you
Yes,
know
sir.
so, it's just something unique about that. And there's something also unique about the relationship just people have with each other. You meet someone
Mm,
on the street, stranger, they're willing to, try your business out, take a picture of your flyer, post it on Instagram, or, repost you. I'm going to tag you or something. I don't even have to know you. It's just, how can I help you? There's a
yes,
different
sir.
mentality, in this city. And so a lot of places, you grow and realize a lot of places aren't like that, unfortunately. We will probably not, but a lot of times people, it's such a competitive thing. Like, I have to eat, so you can't eat. So I think it's very interesting moving from one environment to a new environment, and that level of exposure. The same way my Instagram page serves, or which I believe it serves as a vector.
Mm,
Um, I think that's just a fascinating thing for people to see. And, hopefully, even if people don't implement it, I would hope that the majority of people would take it and see my page as something that shows them this is somebody that's just like me, who came
Yes.
from a background, and he's excelled beyond whatever the challenges he faced, and use those principles, being determined, having resilience,
Mm.
um, just persevering whatever the circumstances may be, and just getting it done. And just a very down to earth, humble approach is how I try to take it one day at a time. So
Absolutely. The last principle is being youthful. And I want to apply that in terms of, I want to ask that in terms of you being youthful within real estate and it not just becoming a monotonous process in terms of it being fresh every day.
absolutely. That's a really good question. So I find like new information in real estate almost every day. So the main way I learn information is by listening to podcasts. Um, One podcast that I listen to a lot is the Bigger Pockets real estate podcast, which they also have like several offshoots: Bigger Pockets Money, Bigger Pockets Daily. I think there's Bigger Pockets Real Estate Rookie. So there's people from all different walks of life doing real estate, and whether it's self storage, or whether it's buying commercial buildings, apartment buildings, or buying single family houses, or people buying 400 houses a month to people buying 3 houses a year. There's so many different people that come on that show from different walks of lives, and just have different perspectives. So like I learned something by listening to an episode at least every day. I
Mm.
remember back in 20, I set a goal because I believe when you want to learn something, you have to thoroughly immerse yourself in it. So I'm like, eat real estate, drink real estate, like that's how I feel. I've been able to learn very quickly, and I'm very passionate about it. So it's not something that's really even a chore. I can look at houses anytime. Like I don't mind. You can send me a house. It's very seldom where I'm just not going to look at it unless I'm asleep. So, I love it just that much. So, it's not even the same type of work. It's not like a labor. It's not laborious as some would consider, because of like, I guess, so many different things that go into it. It's kind of like I'm building out and acting out my imagination in real time. So
Yes, sir.
with that, it makes me always keep a fresh approach, always learning new information. um I think that's what really keeps me youthful in it, is listening to podcasts. I listen to podcasts more than I listen to the radio.
Wow.
So yeah, so I think that's what keeps me youthful in this, is I'm always learning and looking for more information to implement and also share with other people. So
Mm. Last and final question is: out of all these principles being fearless, resilient, intuitive, determined, appreciative, and youthful, which principle sticks out to you the most and why?
that's a good question. um Being appreciative, I think that's one I need to work on um a lot more, so that's why I chose that one. um when I say that, I mean, like, I appreciate the people in my life, the things that I've accomplished in real estate. However, I think I'm often so overly ambitious that I get caught up in like the work of it, that I don't take the time to like fully take in some of those accomplishments when they happen. So like I just bought our grandparents house back into the family,
Yes, sir.
and it's pretty exciting to have done that. But
Wow.
I'm also like, man, I'm ready to get to work on it. Like, I'm ready to get,
Yes, sir.
I'm ready to get it completed, because it's been
Yes,
so
sir.
long. It's been so long since I worked on a house. I haven't worked on one in a while, and I'm ready to get more reps in. So for me, it's like the excitement of like getting more repetitions in and like really doing the work, versus like the celebratory side of like, man, I actually got something done. Like, this is amazing, because a lot of people lose their family's houses and aren't able to get it back, and this actually worked out.
Yes, sir.
So it's a matter of like just that competing, I guess, thought, so to speak. So I think I need to just work on being more appreciative. So that's why I picked that one.
Man, that's excellent. That's excellent. That's an excellent answer. And that will conclude. Man, we are appreciative for you and what you do, and representing. This is Very, very, very good stuff. But I would like to thank you for coming on and showing your wealth of knowledge and information. And I know people will benefit from this. So thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And we'll talk.